Here we are, time to add to the Azure journey again. This is Jason right here. We're going to use Azure DevOps to make a testing, a quality and assurance, and a production environment. So first off, what we're going to do here is create 3 storage accounts, which we already have. But in VS Code here, we put together a couple of commands here in the Azure CLI, and in these we're going to create a testing storage account, QA storage account, and a production storage account with really basic settings. If you're familiar with Bash, all you've got to do to deploy this is /, and then it usually would tab out, but deploy storage accounts .sh, and it would make those storage accounts. We already have them created though, so we'll just go into storage accounts right here, and for all 3 we want a static website to be enabled. So it was disabled by default. We want to enable it, so we'll have the primary endpoint for all 3 of these storage accounts. Alright, so now that that is good, we're going to go into Azure DevOps right here, where we're going to create a project, and we will give it a name, call it Punkry01, and create it right there. Once it's done, we will, okay, so it's back, no issue there. Alright, so first off, we want to go back into Azure DevOps and go to Organization Settings here. And we will go into Pipelines and then Settings. And we want to disable these 2 options here because we want to use classic build pipelines and classic release pipelines. These are on by default to block those, so we do not want that, first of all. So first, I've got a folder here of what I did for this lab here. So we're going to create or open up Git Bash in this folder, and we are going to download a zip file that is stored in the EC2 bucket right here. Download that, it is there. And now we will unzip this file, and now we will change directory into Azure DevOps in the files area here. Right, so once we do that, we want to be in the Azure DevOps folder right here, so just stick around here. We will go into repos. We're going to generate the Git credentials right here, and we're going to want to save these credentials. So username is the account I signed up for Azure, and the password we're going to put into a notepad file, of course. And then while we're here, we're going to copy both of these commands as well, and we're going to paste them into a notepad file as well, and we're going to run the first one, which will be git remote add origin. First of all, let's make sure nothing is there. There is something here, so we're going to do git remote remove origin, and we're going to do git remote add origin, and then that site, basically this command actually. We'll do that. And then we will do git push new origin. 2 dashes there. And with that, this should pop up. We can press X on that and press cancel on here. And we'll copy that password into git bash, and we will press enter. there. And now with that, we can go into files and we see all the files are here, and the files are the same if we cd into files here. Then these 4 will show up here. So perfect. Let me take a look at that. So now we want to create a pipeline here. So we're going to click on pipelines, create pipeline. We're going to use the classic editor that we talked about before. If we didn't uncheck those things before, then it would not show up. So we'll use the classic editor. Keep it on Azure Repos Git here. And start with an empty job. We're going to add a task to that. Will be archive files. We will add that. The display name will be zip files. Remember, make sure that there are no spaces within this. The root folder will be files of what we saw in there. And we'll add one more, and it'll be publish build artifacts. We will add that. The display name will be artifacts publish. And the path to publish will stay the same there. So we're going to save right there. Going to go to triggers, and we will enable continuous integration on that. And we will save that as well. So now we're going to go to releases under pipelines, and we're going to create a new pipeline. This will be an empty job. We're going to add an artifact here and call it Punkery01 CI. I'm going to add that there. So for the stage 1, we're going to rename that to testing for this one. And for that, we're going to add a task to extract files. So I'm going to do add on that. Display name will stay the same there. The archive file patterns, not just straight up zip, but this down here. And the destination folder, the documentation, will be this. So let's see, that is good. We'll save that, and then we will add another task, the Azure CLI. Add there. And for the display name, we will upload files to the Azure blob. For Azure Resource, for ARM connection, we're going to use our subscription here. It will ask for the subscription that we have here. And log in there while it is authorizing it. Script type will be shell. Script location will be inline script. And the inline script will be this command here, where it'll deploy the files to our storage account there. So we have to switch that to that. And the working directory will be this again. No spaces there. And then we'll just rename the pipeline to Punkery01 CD for this one. We will save. Then go back to pipeline. We will clone this for the QA stage. Click on tasks again, go to the Azure CLI and switch that to JWQA. You see what we're doing here. Go back to pipeline, clone this again, and this will be for the production. Save that, where we will again switch this to the production storage account. Back to the pipeline, we'll click this lightning bolt right here, and enable pre-deployment approvals, of which we will use my email there. Okay, perfect. Now that we've done that, we're going to go back to pipelines, and we are going to run pipeline. This is all good, and we will run that. Take a look at the agent job right here to see what it is running. Oops. So it's getting all of those ready as all that code now is running. Publishing the artifacts right there. If we take a look, that's all good. So we'll go down into releases here, and we are going to create a release and have it queued here. So it's gonna iterate through each of the stages here and deploy those files onto the storage accounts. And now the testing stage has started here. It's in progress. We can click on that to see here what it is doing. And now it's running its code. And it'll soon get that to deploy. As it does that, we will take a little break. Okay, so that is set. Now, if you get an error on this, which there's one thing I did overlook, for all three of the storage accounts, we enabled the static websites. You've got to put index.html to actually see the website. So for all three of the virtual machines, that is what is required to have done. So now we see the testing has succeeded, and now the Q&A, or the QA rather, is what has to deploy next. And now that the testing is done, we can now take a look at the website, and we see here that it has displayed. Alright, so now the QA has also deployed, and now for production, we're waiting on that approval because we set that up previously. We will approve that, and now the production will do its thing, and it'll approve in some time. And as we can take a look here in the storage accounts, going to containers, we see now $web, which will hold the stuff here for the web page, and it shows everything that we need here: the assets, the images, the index.html that we passed in. So the images we'll see there on the sites, and the assets as well. So, and now since we made the change to the file, we have to show it in Git here. So do git add index.html to replace that file there, and we will use our email that we used to sign up for Azure here, and then do the git commit and call it change. And here it is. So one file changed, one inserted, one deleted. So the new index.html is now in there, and the old one has been taken out. Now after that, we're going to have to push the change here. 2 dashes this time. So now after doing that, we can just take a look at commits here and see that we made the change to the index.html file and called it change. And we can go back in pipelines here, and in the releases, we can create a new release. So be release number 2, and it'll go through the testing, QA, and production steps again in order to show the changes that we had done. Now we'll let the testing go in progress, and we will finish it off by refreshing the page after testing is done, because after testing is good, production will be all good as well. So we'll wait for that and get right back. Alright, so that is all good, and now we will refresh this. Actually, we'll go to the test here. We haven't approved the production as of yet. But as we do that, we see it has been switched to good job. So there it is. We used Azure DevOps to deploy some files in order to access a site, or deploy some files to the storage accounts, a testing, QA, and production environment website, and we are able to go to the URL and access it and make changes using GitHub. That is the heart of DevOps. Jason again. See you next time.